This is Backstage Sonoma, your all-access pass to the local music scene.
Coming to you from beautiful downtown Santa Rosa, this is the Backstage Sonoma podcast. And now, here's your host, Steve Roby.
Greetings and welcome to another episode of Backstage Sonoma. I'm Steve Roby. Today we are thrilled to have the incredibly talented musician and creative force, Megan Slankard, as our guest. Megan will join us shortly to discuss her current album and upcoming show at the Hop Monk Tavern in Novato. But first, let's listen to a sample of her music. This is Something More.
You know me very well, you know what I do. You know my manners and my methods on the table right beside you. Make no mistake, you know you're very brave, but you cannot find a reason that will stop me from trying so hard. No matter what you do, I'd do anything in the world for you. Give you money, kill somebody if you told me to. But make no mistake, no matter what you say, you still won't have a reason to keep me from fighting. Ooh, you keep on fighting me. I wanna be something more, something more. I'm ready for the pool when I was born. It's what I'm made for, what I'm made for. I wanna be something more, something more. I'm ready for the pool when I was born. It's what I'm made for, what I'm made for. It's everything that you ever said.
That was Something More by Megan Slankard, and she joins me now. Hey, Megan, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, thank you for being here. Let's dive right in. Who were some of your biggest musical influences growing up, and how did they shape your distinctive style?
That is a great question. When I was 10, I discovered the Beatles by way of one of their movies. Actually, my father rented or borrowed, I guess, Help from the Tracy, California library and put it on. And me and my siblings were like, we don't want to watch this old movie. But it was one of those things you don't realize is going to change. There's like life before that movie and life after that movie.
Mm-hmm.
Before that movie, I wanted to be as a typical kid, and wanted to be an astronaut and a veterinarian and all of these things. And then after that movie, the only thing I wanted to do was be in the Beatles. I wanted to be in the Beatles, so I didn't really care which Beatle, but I wanted to be very much like George Harrison at first. I liked the idea of just playing electric guitar and singing harmonies. Yeah, it sort of morphed into this love of just diving deeper and deeper into what they did. As I got older and as I went through their catalog, it wasn't just four goofy guys playing music in a movie. It suddenly became so 3D, and it blew up my world in the best way. And for a while, I refused to believe there was any other music than the Beatles. But they also, as I dove into their interviews and heard about their influences, I was like, everyone comes from something.
Yeah.
This isn't necessarily just all original out of their own heads. And I started morphing into loving classic rock and Led Zeppelin and Heart and all of these sort of rock and roll bands. And after rock and roll, I sort of fell in love with the singer-songwriter thing. But I think truly in my heart, I have always been a little 10-year-old rock and roller.
Nothing wrong with that. So
I help myself.
Their music and all those other combinations help shape your style.
Yeah, I think so. Even though, I mean, sadly, I guess, to me, my music doesn't really even sound very much like the Beatles. But I guess one of the biggest takeaways from the Beatles and their songwriting and their creating was the love and craft of harmonies. I sit there creating, and every track I record, it's a soundscape, cinematically harmonies through the entire thing, harmonies that no one will ever know that exist. No one will ever know that are even in there because they're small or they're kind of like just for me, but I have so much fun doing them. I definitely owe that to the Beatles.
All right. I love it. You've had such a multifaceted career from your early days, as you said, wanting to be a lead guitar in a rock and roll band, now to expanding into songwriting and even voiceover and design work. You've done some of your covers, right?
Some of my covers. Oh,
The
design?
album.
Yes.
Yeah, they're
I
beautiful.
actually thank you so much. I just did my latest record, California and Other Stories. I drew a picture of a woman with, I guess, purple hair. I just liked the colors a lot. It reminds me so much of San Francisco or California. And I sort of feel like maybe I'm kind of a plain person, but in my heart, I just sort of drew my alter ego, I guess. But I've been doing a lot of design. I'm just starting to get into design for some other artists. I did a couple of t-shirts for Toad the Wet Sprocket and a couple of digital singles. And I did some stuff for my friend Rebecca Loby, also an amazing artist. But it's really fun. The one thing that I've realized about being a creative person is like some of us, like when I started, I wanted to be a guitar player. That's the only thing I wanted to do, but I can't really. I also have problems. If I'd really sat down and done my due diligence and listened to my guitar teacher, I probably would have been able to shred by now. But I don't know if it's ADHD or some sort of thing that keeps me from, I think my talent is exploration. Like I can't stay put in one genre of creating. So I just have so much fun. Like I want to learn a little bit of French horn or a little bit of design or I want to see what it's like producing music. So
nice.
Yeah, I don't know that I'm really great at any one of them, but man, do I have fun.
And is some of your work in physical media too? I mean, album covers and artwork that you can hang on your walls. It's not all just digital, is it?
No, some of it, yeah, you're right. Some of it is physical. I started painting a little bit. My sister she didn't commission, she was like, hey, you should paint a picture of my cat. And that's how it all started. I was like, okay. And when somebody asks you to paint a little picture of something, you picture this cute little cat, cute little painting.
Right.
I found the biggest canvas ever. I painted her cat in this gigantic size.
Wow.
And I sort of fell in love with the physical media of painting as well.
Our listeners can see some of your artwork on your website, right?
There's a lot on my Instagram. There's a lot of the digital drawings. I draw a lot of digital work. I haven't actually posted any of the physical stuff. I mean, you can see some of it. My t-shirts, you can see those. I designed my t-shirts and things like that. I like doing it. I like being a DIY. It's not always perfect. Sometimes it doesn't turn out the way I wanted it to.
Yeah.
But it's a lot of fun, and it doesn't take place of collaboration either. I just definitely want to throw that out there. It's also really fun to work with other artists who do. I've had Brianne Lucky do digital design for me and t-shirts and artwork and stuff.
Nice.
And songwriting and things like that. So it's not all just DIY.
Okay.
DIY with your friends.
Let's talk about your band, The Wreckage, and the latest record, California and Other Stories, which you co-produced with Alex Wong. What was the creative process like for this album?
I create a new song. I write and record and produce a new song here at home in my home studio every month for Patreon. It's my little songwriting club, I would say. And it's a little, I guess, community, which is super amazing, supportive people. And every month I try to push myself to write something different and unique and push myself to learn something new with recording. And I had collected a bunch of these songs, and not many, but several years previous to this, I had gone through, as people do, kind of a horrific breakup. And I had written all of these songs sort of just like trying to figure out who I was and all of this. I was talking to my friend Alex one day, and I was like, I just don't know what to do with this music. And he was like, you need to write yourself, or we need to record a breakup album. And I was like, why? And he was like, because it's therapeutic. And so I was like, you know what? That's a great idea. And so he and I had worked together on my album previous to that, which is called Running on Machinery. And I love his style. He's quirky and he's an incredible artist, singer-songwriter himself. But he's got a fantastic studio in Nashville. And so I flew out to Nashville. And for the majority of the album, it was just he and I spending hours a day just being like, what if we did this? What if we did that? What if we did this? And the concept for the album was to do two sides. One was like this sort of, okay, rock and roll, sort of belligerent, sloppy. I played as many of the instruments as I could, so leaning into the sloppiness, but that was what it needed to be. And I got my drummer, Kyle Kapristik, I flew him out and he came and played on it. And it was just so much fun. And then the second side of the album was more of an introspective, cinematic, lots of quirky little robot harmonies. We explored essentially two sides of what a breakup would be. And one would be like sad and maybe depressed. And the other one would be like angry and belligerent.
But they all still keep that breakup theme throughout the album?
It does. It does. Gently in some cases, less gently in other cases. But I call it my revenge record, even though names and places have been changed to protect the not so innocent. But I think it's such a wonderful therapeutic thing to do. Even if it comes several years after something, it's a good way to process feelings. I think writing songs is healthy. Yeah. I mean, it's like writing in a journal, just putting it to music.
Our listeners should keep that in mind when they play the album all the way through.
They should keep that in mind when, playing the album all the way through if they want, or they can. The great thing about songs is they can make them about whatever they feel like they should be. If the song says something different to them, I highly encourage leaning into that because, that's what music is. I think it's alive. It feels alive when I listen to it, and it means different things on different days.
The next track I'm going to play is called California. How does that track fit into the rest of the album?
This track was one of my favorites to record. This one always meant to be rock and roll, but the way I recorded it originally for my Patreon community was on a mandolin. But it felt, I told Alex, he's like, let's do like an adjective tree. Let's like throw a bunch of adjectives at the wall and see which ones, like what it grows into. And I'm like telling him like kicking over garbage cans. And that's not really an adjective, but we'll put it up there. I'm like, I just want to yell at people. I want this one to be like kind of, belligerent and a little bratty. And he's like, let's do it. And so he and I created this track together and got some of our friends in Nashville to come sing some super bratty at the end of it, which just makes me so happy.
Let's play it now. This is California by Megan Slankard here on Backstage Sonoma.
You're so funny, I can hear you all the way clear across the country. Don't care that you're behaving, you're your mother's favorite baby, and your father don't know quite what to do with you. Boy, did you get what you came for? Did you get what you wanted? Put a ring on her finger, might give you a daughter. Will it fix all of the problems you've had since you were in college and you haven't figured out what to do with them yet? It's the right thing. Listen to your heart sing. Listen to the feeling. Listen to it beating. It's bleeding. Listen to your pain. Listen to what your mama say. You do what you gotta. You take what you wanna, but you better leave me. You better leave me with California. California. You better leave me. You better leave me with California. California. You're so stupid, I think you're so stupid. Did you think that the world is gonna bring you to your ruin? You could dress it in disguises, but there should be no surprises. When there always come a time you got to deal with it. Put everything you gave me in a cardboard box. Travel to the You better leave me. You better leave me with California, California. You better leave me. You better leave me with California, California. You better leave me. You better leave me with California,
And we're back. Our guest is San Francisco indie rocker Megan Slankard. Megan, let's talk about how the music industry has changed. Oh my gosh, every day, and how new content is released. Can you tell us more about how these changes have impacted your recent projects?
Yes. Oh my gosh. It's kind of an overwhelming subject that sometimes I feel like I have a complete handle on, and other times I am at a loss for words. But it is so interesting that, and maybe there's probably a lot of industries that have done this, but I feel like the music industry, at least from my perspective, has, even in my short amount of time here on Earth, it's just changed so crazily. Just the way we consume music and how it's recorded, how it's written. The media is like doing it from like vinyl to, I mean, like 8-track and MP3, like all CD, like lots of these cassettes. Remember cassettes?
Yeah, they're back.
They're back. And so, yeah, it's so interesting. But I think a lot of the time it was so much easier to tour when I could sell CDs, because I don't know, the way I consumed music, I'll do it from my own perspective.
Sure.
The way I consumed music was I'm thinking back to being in my room when I was 13 years old and just like putting on an album. And that is what I did. I listened to an album. Maybe I did my homework, but that was the main event, was always the album.
Yeah.
And now as a human, music weirdly has become, it's weird for me to say this being a musician, but it has sort of become the background or the more soundtracky. Like, it's less the main event. And it doesn't mean that it doesn't become the main event in certain instances, but it was always the main event. And so that's the weird thing, is I think it's the way we consume it now makes it so easy. An album is now, I still want to make an album because I want the songs to fit in with each other. Like, it tells a story. Each song is a chapter.
Sure.
But the way I consume music as a listener is I'll put on some sort of streaming platform and I'll put on a song that I like in it, or the song that I feel like in the moment. Maybe I'm taking a jog or cooking dinner, and it bounces around and it goes from artist to artist, from song to song. And it doesn't really pay tribute to like the whole picture, which is wonderful on one sense because you get little snapshots, but it's also kind of, I mourn a little bit for the days where music was more a part of the foreground.
I'm right with you.
Yeah.
It seems like the trend is, from the musicians that I've interviewed, is that the way to do it now is to release a bunch of singles, one right after the other, and not really put out an LP, but more lean toward a 6-track EP.
Yeah.
And albums have gone by the wayside, sort of, maybe?
Yeah. I mean, even for California and Other Stories, my current album, I had talked to a publicist. I was like, I mean, this is an album, but what do you think about me releasing like one single a month for 10 months? And she talked me down from it, but it was interesting that I even suggested it because I love an album. I used to steal all of my parents' albums and sit in front of the stereo and listen to them. I would read the liner notes and just...
Liner notes, yay.
Yes, I knew who produced the tracks. I knew who played on the tracks.
Exactly, yeah.
And that info is becoming more increasingly difficult to find, which is sad. I mean, and tracks aren't as created. There a lot of times when you listen to tracks, especially newer pop music, a lot of it's created by a group of people who get together and write it, and then a producer or two in the studio that's great, but I can't nerd out as much. Did you know Carol Kay played bass on this? I can't do that as much as I used to be able to do. It's different.
Yeah, it's very different. It's a different world. It's a different life. But I appreciate that you even know who Carol Kay is.
Yeah.
That's a trivia question in itself.
Uh,
On a brighter note, let's listen to some more of your music. This track is called I Can Love, which has a positive title. What's the backstory on this song?
This song is about feeling extremely awkward as a human being. And I like to take little pieces of myself and throw them into these like scenarios. What if this happened? Or what if this happened? Or I want to lean into something. So I have this joke with my mom that we're not from this planet because we just feel really awkward. And so this whole song came about. The story is a robot who is trying to convince its fellow human beings that it understands the concept of love. And we did make a music video out of this, which I still cracks me up every day. My brother plays a robot who is going on blind dates. It's quite funny.
Let's listen to it now. Thanks for the great intro, by the way. That was great. The track is called I Can Love. It's by Megan Slankard, and you're listening to Backstage Sonoma.
Everybody told me to stop. Oh, everybody told me to go home. Oh, I don't know what it is I wanna do. I don't know what it is I wanna say to you. Oh,
My guest today is musician Megan Slankard. Before the pandemic, you performed around 100 to 150 annual shows, including several high-profile tours. How did that experience shape your music and your connection with the audience?
Oh, it was amazing. I mean, technically, I could probably still do it. It has, for me, become a bit more difficult. And I don't know, I mean, financially, it's become harder and harder for us musicians to be able to do that and sustain ourselves. But also, I think emotionally, the pandemic really changed a few things in my brain. And there's a little bit of fear being around just crowds every day and also trying to protect my voice and things like that. But I think I guess, I don't know what you would call it, introverted extrovert, extroverted introvert, introverted extrovert, probably. I am a very introverted person who really needs my human connection with people. And then I have that connection, and then I come, and then I hibernate for a little bit, and then I have it, and then I hibernate for a little bit. And that's the one thing that the pandemic changed was I wasn't able to have that connection with my fellow human beings. I still do tour. I did take this year as sort of a slower year, so I could do some creating, which I did a lot of. And I am so excited and happy that I did it. And I have a lot of music that's going to come out very soon, or soon-ish, we'll say. But I do look forward to sort of getting back into the swing of things.
Nice.
With touring. Yeah.
Well, let's talk about your collaborations. And you've had some really good ones, singing duets with Pat Monahan from Train, performing with Darius Rucker and Macklemore, and even singing the national anthem dressed as Princess Leia Yao. What are some of the highlights or lessons you've taken from these unique moments, let's say?
First of all, I'm more of a Star Trek fan. I'm sorry, but that was really fun.
Can you see that online?
I don't. There are pictures. There are pictures. You can find the pictures on my Facebook.
Okay.
I think having the opportunities to work with these incredible musicians, I try to keep my eyes as wide open as possible, because I never want to be finished learning. I recently, actually a few days ago, I had another chance to open up for Toad the Wet Sprocket. I've toured with a few times. And they're one of my favorite bands for several different reasons. I love their music. They're incredibly kind, but they're also just so generous with their time and sharing stories and wisdom. Another band that does that a lot is Cracker. I had an opportunity to play with them. And that's the one thing that I want to completely always keep in mind is I never know how well this is going to go. Like, I may be doing this forever. I may decide to do something else one day. But the one thing that I want to keep in mind is I always want to remember that I came from somewhere, and that if somebody else needs help who might not be where I'm at yet, not that I'm anywhere big, that I should always be available to help out if I can, because me seeing it with these other bands is incredible. They don't have to help an indie artist. They don't have to have us open or talk to us, but they do. I think
nice.
It's amazing.
That's great. Well, what do you enjoy most about performing live, and how do you prepare for a show?
I love, if it's a solo show, I love just having conversations and diving deeper into the songs. And I love that I can change the song up however I feel, or if the audience is responding a certain way, I can really lean into that. If it's a show with my band, one of my favorite things to do is just be as present as possible. Sometimes it's hard. If something goes wrong in a song, I'm like, oh no, I skipped a part or whatever. I forgot the words. It's really easy to not be present, or I do get nervous every show. I played thousands of shows and I still get nervous. But when I can really lean into it and be there on stage with my bandmates, the amount of joy I experience in those moments, and we feed off of the joy and the energy that our audience is giving us. It's like an energy loop. I love it.
Nice.
Yeah.
What can fans look forward to at your Hop Monk Tavern show in Novato?
Oh, yeah. I will be playing with a trio. James DePreto and Vicente Rodriguez will be joining me. There's something pretty magical about the trio. It's like raw and fun. I play bass again, switched. It's a circle. It goes back to Paul McCartney being in love with the Beatles. I always wanted to play bass. And just the amount of fun that we have on stage together is, I don't know. I can't even explain it. But come and hang out. It's just the best concert series.
Yeah.
You can't not have a good time.
Let me remind our listeners, you can catch Megan Slankard, Chris Shiflett from the Foo Fighters, and Bella Rain at the Hop Monk Tavern in Novato on Friday, September 20th. Doors open at 4 p.m. and showtime is at 6. You can find tickets at kcturnerpresents.com. And before we wrap up, Megan, can you share any upcoming projects or releases that fans should be on the lookout for? I know you kind of hinted at that earlier, but anything coming out this year?
Yeah, I'm going to have some singles come out later this fall. They're supposed to come out this summer, but you know how it is. But I have some singles. I have lots of artwork coming out. I am making a coloring book. I know that sounds funny, but it will be a coloring book that goes with my music. So each picture that you color will correspond with a song, and there will be lyrics. And I mean, who doesn't like coloring in a coloring book?
And a perfect time for holiday gift shopping.
Right? Exactly.
Oh. Megan, it's been such a pleasure talking with you today. I really enjoyed the conversation.
Yay, you too. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Backstage Sonoma will be right back after this quick break.
Hey musicians, would you like to be a guest and promote your upcoming concert and latest release? It's easy. Just email the host at backstagesonoma@gmail.com. Now, let's get back to the show.
Thanks for listening to the Backstage Sonoma podcast. Join us next time for more great interviews and music from local and touring musicians. You can find us on the web at backstagesonoma.com.